Psychologists and psychiatrists discovered there's money, a lot of money. Exactly, it's the same thing exactly happened with narcissism. When I started with narcissism, for the first 9 years, I made everything free and so on. No one was interested. We don't know enough about the brain. We know almost nothing about the brain. I mean, every neuroscientist will tell you that I'm talking nonsense, but that's because of the narcissism of the field.
Yeah.
This is an extremely arrogant field with hubris and nonsense, and we know nothing about the brain. About a few weeks ago, a whole mega structure in the brain was discovered. Weeks, not decades. A whole mega structure, an underlying system of channels which transported ions and so on, and reached every corner of the brain, from the reptile to the prefrontal cortex. So it was this enormous plumbing. No one knew about it until a few weeks ago.
Just now, yeah.
So, give me a break. We discovered a few years ago that 90% of serotonin is manufactured in the intestines, not in the brain. So what exactly is the role of serotonin?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And yet we've been giving people pills for 40 years, changing, altering the way serotonin is processed in the brain.
Yes.
Not knowing that the bulk of it is produced in the intestines.
The logic that they've used, do you think it's fair to say it's actually quite a primitive logic? They've gone, well, there's the problem. Serotonin's the issue.
Nothing wrong with saying, if I give you this pill, you will blush.
Right.
Okay, I give you a pill, you blush.
Yes.
Very wrong to say that this proves that I know why you blush.
Right.
I know how the pill works.
Yes.
I know which areas of the brain it affects and
Yes.
so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And you blush.
Yeah.
But A and B can be anything.
Yeah.
A can lead to B. B could lead to A. Maybe your consciousness made you blush and affected the area in the brain.
Yes.
And there could be a C,
Yeah.
which is connected to A and B. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't learn from effect on causes.
Yeah.
It's the most basic deductive fallacy.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they routinely make. Second thing is that psychology can never be a science. There is no way on earth it can be a science, because science is very clearly defined. Science is a theory incorporating all the known facts and predicting new facts. These new facts are falsified, not verified, but falsified in experiments. The experiments must be conducted on the same subjects repetitively, repeatedly. These are the primal conditions of science. Literally, none of these conditions can be satisfied in psychology. For example, if I conduct an experiment on you, which would be an unmitigated pleasure, if I conduct an experiment on you, and then I conduct the same experiment 5 minutes from now, you are not the same subject. Experiments in psychology cannot be repeated.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
As a matter of principle. Things happened in your brain these 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You saw Marian, you panicked.
Yeah.
You saw the coffee, you gagged. I mean,
Yeah.
million things happen. You're not the same person. Heraclitus, Pantarei, the river flows.
Yeah.
Second thing is that psychological theories do not generate enough hypotheses to be tested. We call it undergeneration of hypotheses. It's a problem with theories. Theories that don't generate enough hypotheses which are testable are considered bad theories that should be discarded. Literally all psychological theories are like that. I don't know of a single one which is not. They don't generate enough hypotheses. The only exception to some extent was behaviorism, to some extent. But behaviorism generated hypotheses about rats. Although the vast majority of humanity is easily comparable to rats, I mean, there's a sizable percentage which is not. It's a bit of a problem,
Yeah.
jumping from rats to human beings. But it was in the United States, so it may explain why. And am I being nasty enough?
More.
More. So psychology is not a science.
Yeah.
That's the second problem. So I said there are 3 legs.
Yeah.
The third problem is the brain is plastic. More plastic than we had thought. That is a mistake of psychiatry, not psychology. Psychiatrists say, talk, should give a pill. They don't realize that talk therapy modifies the brain as much as any pill.
Yeah.
Visible effect on the brain.
Yeah.
There are numerous functional magnetic resonance, fMRI studies that show when you talk to people, areas are activated, new neural pathways are formed, proteins are deposited for long-term memory. The brain is seriously.
Yeah.
When you talk, you put your hand inside the other's brain and you mash
things,
it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if the talk is structured with some principles and so on, the effect would be structural and discernible. So each of these disciplines makes a mistake.
Right.
These mistakes are cardinal. They're not minor mistakes. So the whole field is in a mess. Psychology is transitioning to psychiatry, and psychiatry is transitioning to neuroscience.
Right.
And in each junction, there is a catastrophic mistake underlying the whole transition.
Yeah.
In each of the three.
Yeah.
The three mistakes that I just mentioned.
Right. Is this a symptomatic of the way modern academia is, where we just go, oh, we have the list, we know? I used to tell people would say to me when I was teaching self-defense, I know boxing. And what they meant was they could recognize the sport of boxing being played out when they saw it on TV. They didn't know how to throw a jab or a right hook. They couldn't.
How does it feel?
How does it feel? They had no multi-dimensional proprioceptive idea of what it was. They just see it.
And that's what Freud called insight. The phase of making lists is a puerile phase of science, of any science.
Yeah.
So biology, for example, modern biology started with Carlos Linnaeus. Carlos Linnaeus went around and made lists of plants, lists of animals, and that's the Linnean system of taxonomy. Linnean system of classification of plants and animals. But that was 300 years ago. The time has passed. So today biology is not concerned with lists of animals and lists of plants.
Yeah.
There's still this branch of classification. It's called taxonomy. I blame money and American influence.
Really?
Yes, because what happened is psychologists and psychiatrists discovered there's money, a lot of money. Same thing exactly happened with narcissism. When I started with narcissism, for the first 9 years, I made everything free and so on. No one was interested. Then one genius discovered that she can make money. I know who, by the way.
Okay.
Discovered that she can make money. She was the first to charge. None of us were charging. I had people who were working with me. None of us were charging. We had, the first support group was 250,000 members. And that was the beginning of the internet, 1999. There was no internet, and there were 250,000. We never charged. We worked like slaves, 10 hours a day. We never charged a penny. Then a woman came, never mind her name, and she charged. She was the first to charge. We were shocked, I remember. It was like athletic sport, amateur sport, and we were shocked.
Yeah.
She was the first to charge. And then the doors opened, the gates opened.
Right.
And everyone and his dog became expert on narcissism, narcissistic abuse, this, that, because they can all charge.
Yeah.
Same happened in psychology. For a very long time, you couldn't charge. Because until the 1940s, therapy was not a serious business. Psychoanalysts were charging money, but everyone agreed that psychoanalysis is a form of literature, not real science.
Yeah.
And you came to talk to your psychoanalyst because he was good looking. No one expected really any recovery or healing. And a typical time span of psychoanalysis was 29 years, and so everything was okay. You didn't expect any results before the 27th year.
Right.
And so on. So it was not therapy as we know it today. Today people come to therapy and they expect results. There's a time horizon, there's alliance, it was totally different. But then in the 1950s with Gestalt, people began to discover that there's money, serious money. So there was an influx of therapies, new methods, new systems, new behavioral therapy, emotive behavioral therapy. It was a proliferation, explosion of types of therapy. Everyone was making money like crazy and so on. But the big money was in the health system. We wanted to become part of the health system, but how to do that? There was no agreement on diagnostic categories. The manual of alleged psychiatric disorders, ostensible, went from 100 to 9. Are we 9 times more sick?
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane.
And they are medicalizing and pathologizing behaviors that should never ever be medicalized and pathologized. Do you know that there is a disorder called defiant oppositional disorder?
For naughty children.
Oppositional defiant disorder.
Oppositional defiant.
ODD. These are children that don't respect the principal at school. I am kidding you not.
That's literally how it's diagnosed.
That's the criteria. Do not respect authority figures in school. I am not kidding you.
What can you give them for that, though?
I'm sorry?
What, is there a drug you can give them, or is it
Of course, you can give them Ritalin, and they need talk therapy, and the insurance covers it. It's in the diagnostic and statistical manual. It's a great, and so on. It's a whole industry. So oppositional defiant disorder, Antisocial personality disorder. Why antisocial personality disorder? Personality is a disorder.
Yeah.
If I despise society, hate policemen, and break every rule in the book, why does that make me mentally sick?
Right.
It makes me perhaps obnoxious.
Yeah.
It definitely makes me
Criminal.
a criminal.
Yeah.
But why does it make me
Yeah.
mentally sick?
Yes. Yeah.
And to some extent, you could ask, if I'm an asshole, I'm insensitive to other people, I give a shit about other people, I exploit them, abuse them, and so why does that make me mentally sick?
Yeah.
Why does that make me a narcissist?
Yeah.
It's a problem. This proliferation